Go on, give us some close-up apple on the microphone. Hello, Egg Chasers. It's the Egg Chasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. Back in the rugby dungeon. Well, we did give you an episode on Monday morning, but this is belatedly the episode with the full complement, which is going to be going out on a Friday or a Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night. One day of relevance?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll keep it more general. Anyway, we'll get into the reasons why, but firstly, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it. We are the only podcast there for you 52 weeks of the year, every Monday morning, and some Fridays too. So you can support us, patreon.com/EggChasers, where there is extra content, sometimes spicy. And you can get in touch with us, contact eggchasers@gmail.com. Do you remember when there was a period where, I don't know if it was our microphone setup, but we just got a bit of close-up hardcore Apple action? But do you remember when there used to be some hardcore heavy breathing?
Yeah. Fix my nasals.
Remember it well.
You all right, guys?
I am now.
Yeah.
Save me some time.
No. Now, it's important to point out, you did the podcast even when you impaled yourself on a tree after a freak
I demanded that we do it.
Wedding zip wire accident. You did it from your hospital bed. However, you were not happy to do the podcast on the Monday just gone.
And we've podcasted from rooftops in New York, very drunk.
Yep.
We've podcasted.
That's a great episode, all kind of terrible and great.
Yeah. I think we binned it. We've done it after Malaga. We've done it after Madrid twice. I couldn't do it. Like the levels of awfulness that I felt on Monday. I mean, even now, I get in my car to go to CrossFit, and I can't put on my playlist because it reminds me too much of the weekend. I don't have the dopamine stores recharged it. I'm still a little bit down from this whole weekend. Well,
JB, I still don't know how to use that function where you show a photograph on WhatsApp and you can only look at it once.
Thank God I know.
JB knows and used it very wisely.
Did I send you the story?
No,
just the image.
Just the image.
What was the image?
I mean, you can share what the image is if you want.
No. The crab.
The crab?
The crab on the testicles.
No, not that wasn't the image I got.
We'll talk about it later.
Was this a stag do hazing or?
Yes, they found a crab. They found a massive crab and attached it to someone's testicles.
But a good weekend in Barcelona.
Oh my God, what a city. What a city. I love that place so much. Downsides to it, incredibly violent police. Incredibly violent police and security. So don't...
Violent to you?
Not to me.
Or your group?
Not to me, but we almost had a horrible encounter. So we were walking down La Rambla, and one of the boys was walking on the road. It's our first night, no one's had a drink yet. Literally no one's had a drink. And we're walking down the road, and it wasn't my decision. It was not my decision. And I also had a backup plan for this. But they decided to wear stag do T-shirts. I'm like, geez, no, I can't do that. I'm nearly 40. So I had a spare black T-shirt in my shorts. So the police see these T-shirts. This big wagon sort of pulls up alongside us, slides open the doors, and he just starts shouting, F you, where from England, yeah, F you. And it was like he was trying to...
Police officer?
Police officer. And it's like he was trying to provoke us into reaction. So I took a step back, took off my stag do T-shirt, put on my black T-shirt, and was not seen again for the rest of the evening.
Nice.
I was like, I'm not playing this game. No way. And my instincts were correct, because later on that evening, we went down to Port Olympic, and we saw somebody get absolutely filled in by security. I saw the same thing again. Just outside the A&E. I think on both occasions, both lads were English. And I'm sure they have a lot to deal with there. I'm sure they have a lot to deal with. So it's not one-way traffic. I'm not saying they're all terrible people. But there again, if you behave like that, you might be a terrible person. And the other thing to be aware of is, everyone knows this, but the pickpockets, somebody on the first night had a watch ripped off their wrist, a phone stolen.
The
and just
pickpockets are... I've never encountered it in Barcelona. I've been quite a few times.
Once. But I would have paid that €700 gladly again to have that same night. So, despite all that, it's still incredible.
I have, just to tacitly relate it to rugby, you just mentioned pickpockets, and that is the one thing I am really nervous about already. I'm so excited about France, but the first weekend is in Marseille.
Ooh.
And I'm going to have sound equipment, recording equipment.
Yeah.
I know.
Marseille in the summer, I'm sure, will be better than when we went in late November. It couldn't be worse.
But you can wander off accidentally into some really not very nice
Just
places.
think about it like this. It's nicer to lose equipment with a tan.
Actually, that does remind me. I just want to put a word out. Contact EggChasers@gmail.com. If you are going to be in France for the Rugby World Cup, please get in touch. I'm basically there.
You're there for the whole thing,
I'm there for the whole thing. I can't announce what until it's actually signed off, sealed and delivered. But I believe... and I'm confident enough to say this at this point, I've been gifted a vehicle for the duration.
Oh, amazing. Well done.
So that means I'm remote, but basically first weekend Marseille, second weekend Nice, then up to Lyon, Paris, Lille, back to Lyon, Paris, Marseille, Paris again. So basically, if you're in France, and there's going to be no shortage of people. Like that first weekend, for example, there's going to be South Africa, Scotland, England, Argentina in Marseille.
Amazing.
It's going to be exciting stuff.
So, but get in touch if you're there. Then it'd be cool to know what's going on, where you are, and where we might watch the other games while we're in Marseille. And likewise, I think the vehicle will be sufficient that if you wanted to, you should hold down for weekends.
Do you know, I have no interest in watching any rugby, including the World Cup. But I might do. I should do, really.
Nice.
Yeah. Aix-en-Provence?
That's where I thought I might stay when I'm in Marseille.
Well,
stay in Aix-en-Provence.
I mean, maybe. Anyway, enough about our trivial pursuits.
Yeah.
Let's find out about a serious pursuit.
Exactly, a serious pursuit. So we've already heard a tale of a form of stamina from JB. Let's hear about another.
Well, so I did the 100 walk 100 for spinal muscular atrophy, and it is... I mentioned it briefly on the pod a couple of weeks ago. It's an amazing, amazing charity for, specifically two incredible boys, Rupert and Oscar, and their families, but to raise money so other people can benefit from the treatment and there can be increased awareness and increased screening, quite importantly.
Why can't this treatment be obtained anyway?
So there's different types of treatment.
Okay.
It was only a few years ago that it first started getting mandated on the NHS, or first became available on the NHS. But I think there's two types of treatment, one which is available on the NHS and one which is not available on the NHS. But part of this is the earlier it is identified, the earlier you can start the treatment, and currently it's not part of the mandated screening for newborns on the NHS. So there's that awareness side, the screening side, and the treatment side. So it really is a huge thing because it's a SMA. I think it's type 1 SMA, which both Rupert and Oscar have, is a particularly brutal disease to the point where without the treatment that they have both had, their life expectancy would be about 2 years. Like
really?
it is that significant and serious. But the earlier you get the treatment, the earlier you start the treatment, the better your potential long-term outcomes are. So that was the event. It was put on by all of our friend George Mosey, his amazing wife, and another couple, Josh and Tara, whose son Oscar is one of the two lads who are kind of focal point of the charity. It was an amazing event. So 100 people turned up, well over 100 people, because as well as the 100 or so walkers, there was a logistics team of at least a dozen people who were helping out at every step of the way. There was people who donated food, supplies, sorted out accommodation for us, sorted out running minibuses, running all of our gear from point to point. It was an amazing, amazing event. And everyone who competed or took part in it was putting fantastic efforts. So I'm really proud to have been part of it. Sadly for me, I wasn't able to complete it.
Which you did anticipate being the case.
Now, this is the first time you've told me anything about this.
Yeah.
So, before the walk, I'm not going to lie, I was secretly hoping that a couple of our friends would fail and Phil would complete.
Yeah.
It almost went the other way around. I was heartbroken to see it.
No, I said it before this, I thought my chances were 50-50. Mainly because of injuries. So if this was last year...
100 kilometres in...
100 miles.
100 miles. Oh my
in
God.
3 days.
Difference.
So in kilometres,
that's a
it's actually 109 miles. So it's over 170 kilometres
in
3 days.
Oh my
now
goodness!
You're supposed to. It's the Cleveland Way. You're supposed to do it between 5 and 7 days. So that gives you the scale of what you're trying to do.
Fair play to everyone who just even started it, let alone finished it.
On the group WhatsApp, some people have seriously hurt themselves in doing it. Knees have gone, ankles have gone. There are a lot of people who visited hospital for various different things, including multiple lost toenails and then infections, badly infected blisters.
Wow.
And the idea was to raise money for the NHS.
But from my side, I'd obviously injured myself at Christmas, standard, playing rugby. I had a cortisol shot in March. I tried, because I knew end of March was 3 months out from this. I tried starting my training, and I just broke down because my ankle wasn't right. So I basically had April off and then started again in May. So I got about 7 weeks of training. But my longest training walk or run was 16k. I'd done that before, 9 a.m. on the first day. The first day was 67 kilometres.
Wow.
So more than 4x what I'd done.
67 kilometres. That's so good.
And the first 45 was fine. And then after 45 on the first day, my right ankle...
I bet it was waking up the second morning. That must have been horrendous.
Well, my right ankle... So the last 23 kilometres on the first day were pretty brutal, and my right ankle was getting worse and worse, and my left plantar fascia was getting worse and worse. By the end of it, we got to the campsite, I could barely walk around the campsite. Everything was painful. We had a few hours sleep in a barn with 40 people sleeping in a barn, and then everyone else in tents outside. Got up the next day, and from step 1 through to step 90,000 on day 2.
Oh my goodness!
both my legs,
my
both my legs were in serious pain.
I don't think I've ever done that in a day before.
Oh, I've never ever even by the end of it, I was in serious pain. I was
major pain.
Major pain. By the end of it, I basically couldn't put weight on either foot. So we had the end of the second night. I had a bit of food. I had no beers on the first night. On the Thursday I had a couple of beers. On the first day of walking, no beers. I could not face a beer. I was so exhausted physically and mentally. The second night I managed to force down 1 beer and a bit of pizza. I had about 6.
Throw up?
Didn't throw up at any point. I had 6 hours of fitful sleep, waking up in terrors. Got up the third day, and we had 52 kilometres to walk on the third day, and I laced up, and I couldn't get out of the hostel. I couldn't put weight on either foot, basically.
What sort of shape were other people in?
A whole range.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who were very, very... A few people had called it already. A few people had stopped at a reasonable chunk, but a lot powered through. Some of the pictures of feet, my blisters, I had 1 blister that was a bit niggly, no blisters of any note. That wasn't a problem. People complaining of muscles, my hammies were a bit tight, but quads absolutely fine, calves absolutely fine. It was just these two
joints,
two long term injuries.
Yeah.
So that fitful sleep, and it's nothing compared to what you guys did, right? But the first North Dorset Sevens, I played every second of every game.
Yeah.
It was 7 sevens games and 3 10s games.
Yeah.
And that evening when I finished, dual champion, I believe. Dual champion. There they are.
Got the trifle bowl /
I tried to have a beer with Phil. I just couldn't do it, and I really tried. Thought, right, I need some calories. Had a pizza, had some Thai food. Tried another beer, couldn't do it. Went home at 8 o'clock, couldn't sleep. Just like night terrors. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. And I threw up all my food, went back to bed, still couldn't sleep. There's something when your body is really, really wrecked, you just can't sleep.
What just the last North Dorset Sevens? It was like it was so hot. The pitch was so rock solid.
Yeah.
And I wasn't conditioned to that. I hadn't played rugby in ages.
Do you know what? And it was worse because we did the 10s the night before. So if you're going to do 10s and 7s, you just want to roll into one game.
One day, yeah.
So we did the 10s the night before, rock hard surface, and I'd not played like that. And I woke up with... and I could barely walk. And that's playing like 4 games of rugby.
Yeah.
Jesus, not maybe 100...
Well, on the first night, here's an indication of how much kind of... the state that I was in physically. On the first night, we kind of had a bit of food, had a shower, and then just kind of crawled into bed in this barn. And I checked my watch to check like the distance I'd done, and I've been lying in bed for probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I'm resting. I'm very much resting. Looked at my heart rate. It was 96 beats per minute. I've been in bed for half an hour.
Wow.
I bet your resting heart rate is like 42, is it something?
Yeah. Mid-40s at the moment, because I'm not training very much. At one point on the second day, I couldn't... So we had stopped at a little water break. So I stopped at a van to get water, get some flapjack and bananas and a few other bits on board. And I eased myself down onto the floor, and my watch started buzzing because it was incident detected.
Oh my God.
Just seeking phone to call emergency services. So the whole thing...
Wow.
So
sounded horrendous.
That second day, that is the worst thing I've ever done. Categorically, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It was the most painful thing
So I
I've
would
ever
say
done.
if you're listening to that and you're thinking, whoever finished that and the effort that Phil put in, but by the sounds of it, many people powered through incredible pain and managed to get to the end.
Yeah,
Of course you did.
George finished, and there's a few absolute warriors who were running bits on every day and just powering through. I'll tell you who's amazing. Peda's sister.
Yeah, she did it.
She's absolutely smashed it. Easy.
No, but she's from rural Wales, isn't she?
Yeah.
She walks to work and stuff.
So if you're listening to that and feel inspired to show a bit of appreciation for the efforts, and you think, go on then, I'll chip in to try and to help the next Oscar or Rupert, then where do they go, Phil?
So it's a GoFundMe. If you Google GoFundMe 100 walk 100 for spinal muscular atrophy, or if you just Google GoFundMe Rally Round Rupert, which is the name of the charity. The official one, so there are actually a few of them because different people set up their own.
Yeah.
The official one has just today cracked 100,000.
Wow.
So 100,175 pounds on there currently. And in total, I think we're approaching 130,000 with the current donations. But every pound, if you can afford, if you enjoyed the stories and you can afford even a few quid, it is a really good cause.
Something like really hard. Because how many times do you hear, "Oh, I'm going to do a charity walk"? Well, what is it? I'm walking in my bra at like 3 a.m. for 1 hour. Okay, well done. Proper endeavour.
That second day was comfortably the hardest thing I've ever done, because it was 14 hours, 90,000 steps, and every single one of them was painful.
So fair play for getting to the end of that. You must have been in some dark places.
Honestly, I've never had any depression or anything like that. Sunday and Monday, I was not in a good place mentally. Not in a good place in serious pain. I was gutted, genuinely distraught that I'd not completed it, and also, and I'm still in this position. I'm worried that I've put 2 months on 2 months extra of recovery because of the damage I've done, which is kind of the worst of both worlds. Like, if I finish it and injure myself, I can tolerate that. If I don't finish it but manage to avoid significant injury...
The way I'd look at it is slightly differently. I think the people that sponsored you and donated to you got their money's worth.
So, yeah.
Or you owe them.
Maybe. No, don't. Let's not go there.
No, you sponsored for the suffering, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a bet he would finish. It's
No, it wasn't a per mile.
Yeah. I just want him to do it again.
The suffering was intense. It was awful. But, yeah, I was in a pretty dark place. Like, genuinely pretty gloomy. And then, as I said to a friend of ours earlier today who asked about my well-being, I said, nothing that a tough week at work can't handle. Very good for the soul.
Well, just to dovetail it towards rugby then, I get the impression we all quite like pre-season. Liked pre-season.
I hate it.
I used to love pre-season.
I just have no time for it.
I had a very much a love-hate in the middle of the pair of you. I had a very much a love-hate relationship with it. I loved how horrible it was.
Yeah, same.
No part of me enjoyed it.
So, loved the horribleness, and it was generally the only time of the year that I was actually fit.
Well, I knew I was going to be fit for the entire season. For me, I hated it because it's rugby, but it's not rugby. So you go down to the club, and there's not even a ball, and there's no prospect of any rugby developing, and sometimes the coaches tease you that we might have a bit of a game at the end, and it's touch. Like, what do you mean it's touch? Why is it touch? Like, why can't we just play rugby? I used to go wild, particularly in my early 20s when I used to go to training, and we couldn't play contact. I was like, why can't, what is the point in being here? Why do we even play this game? As you get older, you get a little bit less like that. But if I had my complete way running a club, we'd be playing contact all of the time,
all day, every day.
That's what the game is. So I hated pre-season.
The reason I loved it, and I think this is one of the things that rugby just does in general, sport in general, and it's one of the reasons I love team sports, but is like the sort of dark place that Phil went to. I like finding out what my limits are.
Yes.
I quite enjoy, because the number of times when I'm on a run or doing a row or in a rugby game or whatever, and I have that, like, I just say to myself that your brain's going to give up before your body. And it's almost a battle. It is a fight. It's which one's going to give up first? Can I push my body?
Yeah.
Can I push my brain? To a place that it doesn't want to go. Yeah, I quite love it. I quite like that.
I don't have that mode.
But then it's the same reason, like when we talk about CrossFit and us being CrossFit wankers and stuff, that's the criticism that CrossFit gets, which one of the reasons I like it is you redline most sessions.
Yeah.
Which is probably not good for you. But I quite like that. I like that. It's slightly sadistic.
Yeah, that's not how I CrossFit.
No?
Yeah, I'm very, very good at the things I'm good at, and I like to breeze through them. I'm not very good at the 30-minute gassy ones. But I like the short. Yeah, that's how I CrossFit. I like short, powerful. I like sprinting.
But you need to do more of what you don't like to get better.
Weirdly, with CrossFit now, it is moving into that realm where everything's short and sharp, because all the competitions are short and sharp. So you will never get a 30-minute WOD in competition, which I'm doing this weekend. So
I had one tonight that was finished it in 7 minutes 40, and it was horrible though. It was disgusting. Those length ones are horrible.
I love them.
It's just all lactic acid. Anyway. Because pre-season training will be starting, particularly like as July kicks in.
Yeah.
Pre-season training kicks in.
There's going to be a lot of lads showing up to pre-season thinking, yep, just another year of rugby. And I wonder when it's going to dawn on people what an absolute disaster that they're walking into. Because it's happening. It's happening.
Definitely the first few games, and potentially more after that, will be a total disaster.
It will be an absolute disaster. And we're going to lose players left, right and centre when they realise exactly what's going on. And something happened today, actually. I'm probably bringing this up a little bit too. I'm probably not bringing it up too early. We've probably been podcasting an hour about non-rugby. Something happened today, and I'd love to know your views on it. One of the Irish fellas
in the under-20s World Championship
has a bullocking run
against Australia. The Irish 7.
As far as I can see, the Irish 7 has done absolutely nothing wrong, other than ran too hard. He runs. He dips his body height, his head, goes into the tackler's head. So, I mean, you could argue the tackler's not low enough.
Was it head on head?
It was definitely head on head.
It was head on head neck area.
Yeah.
So I think the Australian caught it kind of side of the
It was
head
brutal.
neck.
I mean, is it horrible to watch? No, it's no more horrible to watch than UFC is, to be honest.
I thought it was pretty horrible because it was a double knockout, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's just the game. Like, I mean, I know what you're saying. Like,
It's
like watching
the Green 7 hasn't dipped his head and gone, hold on, I'm just going to run my head into his head.
Well, so two things on this, right? Number one, as I said, only a week ago, but also for the previous 6 months or whenever we heard about this, the law changes have opened the door for more law changes, because that would never be contentious before these law changes came in. And now people are waving around the amateur law saying, you can't change your body height suddenly. So I don't think he changed his body height that suddenly at all, really. I mean, if that's a sudden body height change...
I think he was looking to do the thing you do when you're carrying the ball, hold the ball in sort of on your chest, both your forearms in front of the ball to fend.
He was just looking to power through a man.
Power through, yeah.
He just wants to power through a man.
Yeah.
There's no malice in it. It's the game. You dip your head, you run forward, you win the height battle. How many times have we been told to win the height battle? It just outlines... You say this a lot, Tim. I couldn't disagree with it more. Twitter's not real life. Twitter is real life because it starts there, and the authorities for World Rugby now, they won't be all saying, "Oh, isn't the World under 20s a great success?" They'll be going, "Oh my God, we're getting so much heat for this one lad playing rugby."
Well, I don't know what it was exactly. In fact, I do know what it was because I saw an exchange on Twitter with Eddie Stevens and someone else. I think they tagged us and went, check this out, World Rugby actually celebrating something that looks like rugby. And then World Rugby deleted the tweet, and I was fascinated to know what it was. And it was basically a Alassana Tuolangi highlights reel.
What?
And World Rugby took it down.
So this is the thing, right? So Olivier Magnier, of all people, Olivier Magnier, I don't know if it's his actual account or if it's a fan account, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just go with an account. Called Olivier Magnier, said that it should be illegal for a player to choose contact where space is available. This is where the debate...
Olivier Magnier would never say that.
Surely
not. Olivier Magnier would never say that. It
looked fairly legit to me, but this is where the debate's going. So, when I say rugby's dead, I mean, they killed it a long, long time ago. And, if you want to see what's important to people now, and the idiots that run the game, and what's important to them, you'll only ever see, basically, theatrical commercial dancing from the All Blacks. Like they'll do the haka, and we all have to clap and applaud how special it is. It took no fucking skill to do the haka. It took no skill, right? It took no physicality, no bravery, none of that. We have lots of pictures of lads praying together afterwards. No skill, no physicality, no nothing. We've got all this stuff about rugby families. Guess what? No skill, no physicality, no hard work, no bravery.
All nice, but not at the
pointless,
not instead
rubbish,
of
trash.
Yeah.
You can get it from your local nursery. You can literally go to your local nursery and watch kids dance. Like they can teach the kids the bloody haka. Like the whole thing's rubbish.
It's not mutually exclusive, but I guess the point where I would agree with you is the denial of the reason why many people play rugby,
exactly,
watch rugby, enjoy rugby, and the tacit implication that that poor outcomes are unacceptable and risk should be avoided.
Poor outcomes are unacceptable, and legislation should be retrospective.
The risk is the reward. So that's why people play the game.
Yeah, and I was hoping that we'd be able to talk a little bit about the under-20s. Frankly, I don't want to even watch it now. I just know it just makes me so angry.
What was the sanction? What was the outcome in the actual game itself?
Because there's a lot of
people on Twitter going, "No, this shouldn't be allowed."
Yeah,
but I don't know what actually happened in the game. I think in the game it was like, play on.
Yeah, play on.
Scrum down, green ball.
Was it not? I mean, both of them were knocked out.
Oh yeah,
so it should have been two head injury assessment.
It's a physical game, and occasionally
head injury assessment.
Yeah, because the ball's moving in the air, and we get the physios on. It's fairly common.
Well, I think
in rugby, it's fairly common to see someone go down.
I think they stopped because there was
but one of those lads has got the ball.
One of them's got.
Well, then you can't, can you?
Yeah.
Well, that can't happen.
They stopped because it was head contact. The two players left the field for a head injury assessment, and the game carried on. And I guess that's the point: is Well, rugby, as you've said many times, rugby isn't for everyone. As Eddie Stevens said, the risk is the reward. As we've just pointed out, the inherent risk and danger in rugby is a huge part of the reason why people participate and why people watch.
Yeah, I just the whole thing.
Poor outcomes are not wanted.
They're undesirable.
They're undesirable, but they are not
No.
acceptable.
They're necessary, right? They're necessary. There has to be a risk of separation of consciousness, or a broken leg, or several broken ribs, or even a career-ending injury. The risk has to exist.
Yeah.
Because it makes it special. Now,
Well,
we don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
it has to exist.
It's the individual
Yeah.
instances are undesirable, but to try and deny that there is a risk,
Or that it's essential.
yeah,
You don't want-
that's nonsense.
Yeah, you don't want
to be ashamed, which is where World Rugby
And I know
are.
we're going over ground we've already been over, so this isn't new, but just to reiterate something we said many times before, nobody kicks up massive fusses on Twitter or anywhere else about UFC or boxing because they are unapologetic. The second you say, "Oh, yeah, we're sorry about take that tweet down, we shouldn't do that," you just
Invite
feed.
So-
It's just oxygen to these people.
I was thinking about 2 initiatives that I would set up if I took over World Rugby. In fact, all of rugby tomorrow, if I was like the rugby god, if I was a rugby Vince McMahon. So the first initiative is really obvious, and you all know that I'd do this. I'd fire everybody. So just walk into every office and just fire them. There's no ifs or buts. You've had enough time. You all go. And then replace them with real people. Actual talented people. People with actual knowledge of the game. And that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing would be a social media campaign, and it'd be #TellYourMum. And it'd be automated. So every time that you have someone saying, "Are you taking player welfare seriously?" it just automatically says, #TellYourMum. Because, that's what you need to do. These people they should just tell their mum. They all should. Why are they telling us? We've played the game for God knows how long. The players that are playing have decided to do so. And we accepted the risks. It's none of your business. It's absolutely none of your business.
Or, if you wish, lobby people not to play. These people say they're rugby fans, but actually what they should be doing is going, here's my argument, JB, why you shouldn't play rugby. If you want to listen to me, here's my thoughts. Not change the game
I'd say
for the
thank
people
you.
that
That's
do want to play
fascinating.
rugby.
Yeah, thank you. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
So I was in this big company meeting today, end of financial year thing, and there were lots of people giving presentations, and it got to the person who was representing TalkSport on this conference call. There's lots of different brands at the company that I work for. TalkSport was one of them, and my ears perked up when they said, "Oh yeah," and obviously football's our core business. But we see huge growth in 4 other sports.
Oh.
And I was leaning forward thinking, hello, interesting, this is what I've been waiting for, TalkSport, going down the rugby route even more.
So can we guess?
Can we guess?
Yeah.
It's not going to be cricket.
I think cricket is because you've got the multiple forms of the game, and
It's not cricket.
No growth in cricket.
No.
And also they've had their own issues, which we can actually talk about that later.
Is one of them a regular sport, but the women's variant of a regular sport? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Interesting.
F1.
It's related. No, it's related to the conversation we've just been having in the sense that
Please tell me it's UFC.
MMA.
Is it really?
Yes.
There we go.
That's one of them. Boxing is another.
Yeah, that makes
Really?
sense.
I can't. I think NFL might be another. But the two that jumped out at me is so this is a commercial station, brand, biggest sports station in the world, radio station. They've got their online platforms, and they just go where the money is, and they go where the interest is. And
Can we go where the money is? Can we just do a completely different podcast?
and the money and the interest, from their perspective, is boxing and MMA were 2 that they said.
The thing is, rugby just needs to wave more rainbow flags. If we'd only had more awareness campaigns, I think we'd be in a much better situation. I mean, can you remember the wild success the Wasps had by employing their equity, diversity and inclusion consultants? I mean,
the graph's only up since that point.
I mean,
isn't
they
it?
have never been more successful. So if only we'd listened to all those people. I mean, ultimately, one of the finest clubs in all of England was derailed by a man that wears high heels attacking Exeter Chiefs. I mean, it's just remarkable. The whole thing, what's happening to rugby is frankly remarkable.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes this year. I wish you all the best to the teams starting their pre-season. It'll be very interesting. The under-20s, I will actually say, it's pretty good. If you do watch any of it, it is good.
I've only seen
players.
highlights. A lot of it seems to be in bad conditions. It's Cape Town, isn't it?
It's Stellenbosch and Paarl.
Which is
Cape.
Western Cape. Okay, so not within Cape Town, but not too far off.
Not too far off.
Yeah. And you've obviously seen a bit of it, Tim.
Yeah. But
so last time you alone discovered Andrew Porter, Harry Mallender,
Jacob Stockdale.
So who alone?
Geordie Barrett.
Who have you spotted this year?
I'm not prepared to pin my colours to the mast at this point.
What? You've
got to wait the full tournament. End of the tournament, we want half a dozen names on that whiteboard.
Four more.
The England-Ireland game to kick it off was awesome.
So that was a 34-all draw.
Yeah.
And there's been some unusual results as well, particularly today. There's some unusual results. France, and this, I don't know that you're not going to say this is unusual, but they hammered New Zealand. They were 28-0 up at one point against New Zealand.
I love that. That brings joy to my heart.
Italy beat South Africa. And
that's an amazing result.
Have you seen
that is an amazing result. Now,
have you seen the Italy captain's speech? Now that is something I think World Rugby.
I have seen it.
I think next World Rugby have put that up. That is cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
They're sort of kind of trying to deny reality there.
What do you mean?
Well, I bet when they look at who's watched what clips, that will be one of the top clips.
Oh yeah.
That will be one of the top clips. And what is it? It's a man
passion,
rallying the boys to smash it. And that's what we love.
It's an awesome clip, that one.
Yeah, it's not like it's almost disrespect of like culture or something.
And no one expects them. Like even people back home don't expect them to do anything. The disrespect to them is awesome.
But they've had some good results. Aside from this one, didn't they do fairly well in the 26 Nations?
Yeah, they did.
Beat England, didn't they?
They let themselves down a bit against Argentina in the first game. They got a red card in the first few minutes. Their tight head or loose head or whatever got sent off, and then they lost to Argentina. But that's one name I'll say at this point: Juan Baronio, the Argentine fly half. Left foot drop goal from halfway.
Baronio,
casual.
Yeah, it was very casual the way he did it. So it was cool. But no, it's a good tournament, and it's some great results. Georgia, how did they get on in the end? They were winning when I watched.
They won.
Brilliant.
They beat Argentina.
Brilliant.
Did it finish 20-0? Yeah, it finished 20-0. Yeah.
I don't know.
Good result for Georgia after they beat England earlier in the year in one of the wars.
Hammered Fiji, didn't they?
They did. It ended up 53-7.
Wales?
They narrowly lost to New Zealand, looked good, and then they beat Japan.
Comfortably beat Japan. Yeah.
Interesting. So, I'd like a weird team to win it. So, like, imagine if Italy won it.
Italy winning it would be incredible.
Yeah.
But that pool's wide open because everyone's lost a game. No one's unbeaten. Italy lost first game.
Who stood out for you
South Africa
for England, and where did they play their rugby?
Sorry?
Who stood out for you for England?
In the first game, I'd never heard of him. Connor Slevin, fly half, first game under 20 level. Quinn's fly half. And he was class. Really good.
Nice.
Kicked all his kicks from the touchline. And the lad that's massively highly rated, the tall Irish fly half, really highly rated. Sam Prendergast, that's the one. He missed.
No, it's Leinster.
Good around the park, but he missed all his kicks. And,
really?
Yeah, he missed like 5 conversions.
Tell you what, they'll be building up a lot of fly halves now in Ireland. Everyone needs to be the next Johnny.
So there is a risk that he's not going to be available for the World Cup. Is this the chap, Johnny Sexton?
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's
they still
EPR
haven't come to a conclusion.
No,
they're making him wait, aren't they? So they've announced the panel, but I don't know.
They've announced that they are going to bring charges. So I'm sure that
the closer it gets to the World Cup, the more at risk the World Cup gets, right?
Well, I assume they'll do a ban from the date, but
isn't there an element where they do like it has to be
games?
It has to be game weeks,
meaningful matches. Yeah, so I suppose that's a good point.
It will have to be done before the summer warm-up matches.
Yeah, because that'd be the next meaningful game after that.
Oh no!
Yeah,
not doing wasn't it? Steve Diamond at Sale Sharks suddenly organised about 4 friendlies in 4 days.
Well, it was them, and it was also Canterbury Crusaders trying to get Sonny Bill Williams to play three.
Oh yes,
3 halves.
Yeah. Game of 3 halves. That counts as 3 games, right?
Minimum.
In the Six Nations this year, Italy finished 3rd.
Yeah, it's their best finish.
Behind Ireland and France. They only won 2 games, but bonus points took them to
They
3rd.
smashed Wales and England.
And this is where,
I'd have to-
I know Italy will be part of this, but this is where when you look at the under-20s level and you've got Georgia really competing, and you've got it seems to be more even across the board, and that's what you want to have when it comes to a World Cup. And like Fiji only narrowly lost to Australia the other day, and that's what you want to achieve with the Senior World Cup. But there's more talk about the World League. I think it was.
That's what it.
There was an announcement today from World Rugby. It met in London on the global calendar.
Yeah.
On trying to find. It is good that they are trying to find a route for the global calendar, because we've said it many times.
But I mean, did I say that? I mean, I'm not sure if I've been in favour of it so much. They've been trying this for 20 years. Maybe they'll do it now, just because of the sheer desperation. Like, everything they've done in the past has been so incompetent that they're in a place where, we need to do something. What we going to do? Let's give this global calendar thing a go. But I don't like the idea of countries effectively becoming super clubs, because that's what they'll become. So if you're seeing the countries play each other all the time, well, where is the specialness of watching England? Where's the specialness of watching Georgia, or the fact that Wales only play New Zealand a certain amount of times? I hate it, actually. I absolutely hate it, and it's going to be a further undermining of the club game. And it's a club game where all the passion is.
Well, England are going to Japan next year. That's one thing we have learnt.
Yeah.
Good.
That is good.
Good tax-deductible business trip. Take the pod back on the road.
Get some more strong zero out there.
Well, I found out a strong zero fact today.
Oh, did you?
I did. So, the biggest selling ready mixed drink, or ready to drink, whatever it is, I can't remember what the actual terminology is.
So it's ready to drink alcoholic drink.
Yes.
So a pre-mixed alcoholic drink.
Yeah. The number 1 in the world is White Claw, as you might expect. Right. Number 2 in the world, selling 22 million units of 22 million 9-litre units. Right?
9 litre?
9 litres, so that's like a 24-pack in our pods.
Oh, okay, right.
Is Lemon Strong Zero, which is sold primarily in one country.
Wow.
Almost entirely in one country.
Wow.
So I got this sold to me today. I was like, please find me the UK breakdown. Please. 6 in the UK, 5 in France, 22 million in Japan. I mean, it was 22 million and 30 when we were there.
It was.
What's it the equivalent of in the UK? Is there anything remotely equivalent?
Turpentine?
Did you ever drink even a turbo? Did you ever drink turbo shandies at uni?
Smirnoff, great, yeah.
Smirnoff Ice with half pint of lager. Well, turbo shandy, that might be a double turbo. But you'd have to put, so a turbo shandy would be a pint, and it probably averages out at like 5% in a turbo shandy. Yeah, you probably need to add like 4 shots of vodka into a turbo shandy to get
it's
to
more
like
a Smirnoff Ice with a shot of vodka, because you average it.
It's more than that.
It's got to get to 9%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have to add your shot of vodka and then enjoy your night. Well,
forget your night very quickly.
Wake up in hospital. If you wake up at all.
How do they survive?
I don't know.
How have they got an economy? 22 million units.
Speaking of bad life choices, do you know what so the kids have got an inset day tomorrow off school, and because I've managed to get Louis tickets to lots of gigs and stuff lately. Connie was like, "You never get me tickets for anything." So I said, "Right, what do you want to do?" And she went, "Alton Towers," and I've agreed. So I've managed. So her and a few of her mates are going, and I've got to go with them now. So I'm just.
Why? Can't you just drop them off at the gates and?
Yeah.
Find a local CrossFit
It's not far away, is it?
It's about an hour and a half. It's just far enough away that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
How far is it away?
Yeah, it'd be good fun.
Yeah,
go on the ride.
Four girls, 14-year-old girls.
Leave them
hanging out with them.
Leave them to their thing.
I'm not hanging out with them. I could just be a single rider.
Yeah, jump the queue, single rider.
Perfect.
Don't pay for them to have queue jump passes, but pay for you to have a queue jump pass.
And then have a nice long nap.
I always got conned into going to Alton Towers on a Sunday. So my school had a very crafty chaplain who I'll never forget. who I'll never forgive for this.
Oh, you see, that sentence alone has been said many times, but I don't think it's related to this.
I always wondered what was wrong with me. Anyway, so he said there's a trip to Salton Towers, but they were picking up suspiciously late, like 3 p.m. or something, or like
yeah, that is
suspiciously late. But I'm 14 or whatever it is. I'll jump on the coach and go to Alton Towers, which I did. A Christian rock concert. I've never been so upset in all of my life. So it was not Alton Towers at all. It was a Christian rock concert held on a Sunday at Alton Towers. Livid.
You've only ever been to about 4 concerts.
2 concerts.
One of them is Christian rock, and one of them is R. Kelly. Which you can't.
No, R. Kelly. Yeah,
Christian rock. You couldn't really get more diametrically opposed.
Well, it depends, really, because some might say that the interests of the church and R. Kelly did in some way run parallel.
The Venn diagram, isn't
it?
Maybe. As you think.
Yeah, it's not that far away, and the only one who's in the clear is Pete Tong.
Oh, yes.
Although, when he was a middle-aged DJ working in radio, there was a lot of people that probably raised their eyebrows, but yes, he is in the clear.
Very much in the clear.
Very in the clear. Very, very in the clear.
Did either of you see the Super Rugby final? I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Did you know it was on?
But Crusaders, so Chiefs were the best team all season. Crusaders won.
Inevitably won, 7th title.
And it's just... So I've not seen any of the game. I will watch the highlights at some point. But it's highlighted one crystal clear thing to me. So I'm just looking back before at the Crusaders' dominance in Super Rugby.
Yeah, it took that Todd Blackadder abjectly failed.
Between 1996 and 2008, Crusaders won more than 50% of the titles. Between 2017 and now, Crusaders won 100% of the titles. There's this weird period, 2009 to 2016. Crusaders did not win a single final, and that just neatly overlaps with Todd Blackadder's
bizarre.
He's too nice.
Crusader, lovely bloke.
I mean, he's
interesting
nice.
bloke, but winning the title with Crusaders is the same as winning the titles with Fiji Rugby. It does not guarantee you are a good coach.
No.
However, losing for 9 consecutive years with the best team in the competition, both before and after your reign, confirms something about your coaching ability.
Broadly speaking, a few years just after.
Consistent with their performances before and after.
Yeah,
true.
In
Todd Blackadder's defence on that one.
True.
So the stories I've heard about Todd Blackadder at Bath are monumentally cool.
But he watched all the DVDs before he came.
Yeah, that claim, looking back at that claim, it is the biggest lie. Because the guy did not know he didn't know who Ben Youngs was. He knew nothing about, apparently he was very good at, say, you want to practice your catching after training? I'll stay with you. Wanted someone to talk to, I'm your guy. Great bloke, apparently, a really solid bloke.
Yeah.
Had no clue about who he was playing week to week. When you don't know who Ben Youngs is, everyone knows who Ben Youngs is. Had no idea. Absolutely no idea. Didn't know a thing about the opposition.
There are a lot of... It'd be interesting to know, and because you've chatted to quite a few of them, JB, I bet you there's a lot of rugby players playing that know very little about rugby.
Completely agree. Totally agree. They are so tuned out of the game. They know their mates, and they know 1 or 2 other guys, and that's it.
They'll know the people in their league, and then
sometimes, not always. It isn't guaranteed. So you're talking to some lads, and you'll say, some of them know the players in their positions. About a lot. So particularly second rows and props, they know who they're playing against because they'll come up with things. He's soft. Being soft as a second row is it's like a slur. It's if you say someone's soft. So, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think second rows and props, because they're quite confrontational, no. The rest of them are they don't know. They ask me who's playing and if they're any good. They don't have a clue.
There are some fellow rugby noses.
Definitely.
Who's a rugby nose? Gus Waugh is a proper rugby nose.
What's his name?
Doesn't surprise me.
Your boy at Gloucester, Freddie Clark.
Freddie Clark is
total rugby nose.
Freddie Clark, Mark Atkinson. Do you know? I think that's why I quite like Gloucester, because Ed Slater, massive rugby nose.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit and talk to those guys. I mean, apparently Northampton were playing when I was sat there, but it's just constant chat about Premiership rugby over and over and over again, which is cool. I mean, that's exactly what I used to like doing.
You still love the guys that play the game, though. This is it.
I do, but I just feel like we're closing this chapter now. So one of the things I heard the other day, two things. One, the people running the tackle symposiums are asking, and they're asking quite aggressively, please give me a good rating and say that this is a good idea and give us testimonials. So they're obviously looking for confirmation that this is a great change and everybody loves it. So there's a lot of that going on. The other thing as well is quite a lot of referees who are in positions to know these things are saying that straight after the World Cup, these changes, tackle height will come into the pro game. Now, if that's the case, it actually makes me feel better about things rather than worse. But then it makes you think, like, why didn't you wait for us to finish? Why didn't we all do it at the same time? And the answer is because the World Cup's worth too much money, which, as answers go,
that's not a bad one.
It's pragmatic.
Yeah, when the game is kind of on its knees.
But, like, does that not tell you what you need to know? They know it's going to be unpopular because they didn't want their showpiece to be affected by it. You know, so if you know that's what's going to happen, if you know people don't want it, which is why you won't change the World Cup, you shouldn't really be doing it to us.
Or maybe they felt that they wouldn't have enough time to get it right going into the World Cup, and they didn't.
But we do.
They didn't want the.
They're professional athletes with full-time setups and all sorts.
But the consequences, well, maybe their thinking is the consequences of Toc versus Widnes not being the best spectacle is less than South Africa versus New Zealand.
I tell you what, if you watch those Toc Widnes games last year,
I've seen a couple of Toc Widnes games. Absolute dynamite.
Absolute dynamite. It's something which people who play in, say, South Africa and New Zealand would kill to be part of. Kill to be part of that.
So I'm going to just open it up, right? So total open forum. If there's a question or a thought that you want a reaction to, yeah, if you've got a thought, whether it's a moan or whether it's just an idea or a little starter for 10, email us, contact@eggchasers@gmail.com. If you've got a specific question that you want a thought on, contact@eggchasers@gmail.com. And this coming weekend, bearing in mind we've just covered a bit of ground on this podcast, this weekend's pod is perfect time to get through some of that. So,
well, the next weekend we've got Rugby Championship.
Exactly.
And that'll be thunderous.
Exactly. So we've got rugby to talk about again after this weekend, and then we're into World Cup warm-up games, and then we're into World Cup. So we've got a nice little window here where
When does World Cup kick off? End of September?
8th of September.
So,
final on the 28th of October.
There was another game. It's one of those sad events, I guess. So Australia built up is going to be the biggest women's crowd ever, and they got battered 50-0 by the Silver Ferns. So I don't know what that tells you about the game. With New Zealand just superb, you know. But it's to be celebrated. The 50-point smashing of Australia is to be celebrated because people went to watch. So well done, everyone. You all win.
So yeah, get your questions and thoughts and starters in, and we can cover some ground. And we should touch on Sunday as well. Stash. There's World Cup kits being unveiled all the time.
I've seen one.
Is it All Blacks? Have I seen?
I saw it described as a golf top that a toddler has drawn across.
I think that's not the actual World Cup jersey.
So I've seen.
So I saw one with Caleb Clark stood next to Jason Momoa, and the one that Jason Momoa's in, I'm going, that looks awesome. The one that Caleb Clark's in, exactly like you said, that looks like a kid's just drawn on it.
The one that there's some promo shots with Sam Cane, and I thought it looked great actually because it was a fitted. He's a muscular guy, fitted shirt, looks good. When it's just like on its own against a white background, it didn't look. It looked like a golf shirt. Yeah. So I need to see it in motion,
in context.
Yeah, exactly.
Argentina looks predictably lovely, nice collar, and their away shirt with the white sash.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Do you remember the USA jersey at like the World Cup in 2010? I want to say, or 2014 or something. It was
the Football World Cup.
It was a navy shirt with a white
Yeah, that's the football one.
diagonal
Yeah,
slash
okay.
with red piping around the. That's what Argentina have got as their change kit.
Oh, nice.
It
Okay.
looks quite. It looks good on Julian Montoya. No, not Montoya. It looks good on Pablo Matera.
Matera.
It's good on all,
Or
probably.
Crema looks good in that kit.
Does look good in everything.
Until he gets a red card.
Yeah, he looks good in it all.
And cries. What's all that about?
Yeah. In fact, that first weekend in Marseille, there's going to be a beef shortage because South Africa and Argentina and all their
nice.
fans are in town.
Beef and red wine.
Yeah. Whoa. Right, shall we wrap this up?
Yes.
We should. We absolutely should.
We've covered a bit of rugby there. Not loads, but hopefully you found that entertaining. You can get more content. Contact EggChasers at... patreon.com/EggChasers.
Yeah, I wanted to whinge about Brian Moore. But you know what? I'll do it another time.
Do it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Treat yourself.
And potentially, that might make a nice little Patreon
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it might do, actually.
A little communist special.
Yeah, well, yeah, something like that. So, yes, maybe we'll do a Patreon on Sunday, because we certainly owe you one. And we still haven't managed to get the King's Council.
Oh, have you not?
No, because it's wrong Patreon and I can't get it up.
The Patreon knows that's just that spicy.
Don't do it, JV. Don't do it. Don't do
Are
it.
you sure? Right. Thank you for listening. Let the boys play.
That was right.